Shoot your arrows! Cooper Kupp plucks it out of the air and gives the Rams the lead. Robert Woods, touchdown! LA! Goff goes crashing into the end zone. Aaron Donald almost beat the football there. Corey Littleton, have yourself a day. Picked off. Marcus Peters coming off the edge. And Ryan will be wrapped up by Clay Matthews. Everett in stride! Wow!
Franklin Myers gets his hand down there.
Leto got a hand on it. Did he pick it? He did!
Racing down the sideline is Akeem Talib. Gurley for MVP! Touchdown LA!
Picked off by John Johnson.
Well, Dante Fowler, who is able to get to Breeze. Greg Zuerlein sends the Rams to the Super Bowl! LA will play for the Lombardi!
Welcome back, guys, to another Downtown Rams podcast. It's episode 188. I'm your host, Jake Ellenbogen. Joining me is Alexis Kraft. And, of course, we will be having two more prospects coming on. This is a linebacker draft season podcast. So we have Bobby Okereke from Stanford and Kendall Joseph from Clemson. So hope you guys enjoy. If you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe and review on all platforms that you listen to podcasts, and enjoy the show. All right, guys, joining the show, we have Stanford linebacker Bobby Okereke. How's it going, man? Thanks so much for coming on.
It's going well. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Jake and I are so excited to talk to you. And just to start it off, we like to kind of get a little bit of background. I mean, how did you start playing football, and how old were you when you got into the sport?
So started freshman year of high school. Kind of just got in because of my friends. They were all playing like Pop Warner, like Tustin Cobras football. And then, when freshman tryouts came, they were like, hey, you should come on through. And I did. And that was basically the start there.
Yeah, that worked out well, right?
Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Who would you say, growing up would be your favorite NFL player?
Probably Ray Lewis. I mean, he's just a beast.
Oh, absolutely. He definitely was a fun player to be a fan of, that's for sure. But
definitely.
Yeah, so you grew up, you played football, and then it came time for you to play in college, and you ended up playing for Stanford. What was the main factor in you choosing to play your football career there?
Definitely academics. My parents, through middle school, high school, always kind of guided me to go into a good academic school. So then once Stanford offered, that was kind of the perfect choice.
Yeah, that's definitely not a bad school for academics and, of course, athletics. You talk about a team that,
for sure.
Yeah, you're in the Pac-12 and, there's so many, players. And, I mean, obviously you're one of those guys, so obviously not a bad choice at all. But I want to ask you, as a whole, how was your college career? What was it like, playing for Stanford?
It was good. Being a student athlete at a school like Stanford is tough. It's very demanding academically and then athletically as well. And then all the stuff we do with Coach Shaw, it's kind of a big encompassing program, but it trains you to be successful and productive in the real world. But football-wise, it's pretty good. Came in, redshirted my freshman year. Sophomore year, played a little bit on special teams. And then junior year, earned my starting job for the first time. So then basically after that, started every game and then just kind of gradually got better and better as a player.
Yeah, definitely. And I know it's probably hard to pick, but do you have a favorite memory from your time playing college football?
Yeah, probably when Conrad and Copina kicked the game-winning field goal versus Notre Dame, and all the fans rushed the stadium, and that was an incredible win.
Oh, who was that against?
Conrad and Copina.
You said Notre Dame?
Yeah, he was versus Notre Dame.
Oh.
That hurts.
I want to say 2015 maybe.
Jake wanted you to point that out because I'm a Notre Dame fan and he knows it hurts me.
Oh, yeah. Conrad and Copina versus, Notre Dame, the other university in South Bend.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Bobby. I heard you very well. I just wanted you to reinforce that, kind of a dig at Alexis. But
no, for sure. Definitely.
I definitely remember that. But no, credit to you guys. That was a really good game.
Yeah, that was a great win for us.
So obviously you play Notre Dame, but you play some other, fantastic schools and a lot of players, obviously you line up across from. But who was the one in particular that was the most, toughest to go up against on Saturdays?
Miles Jackson, who's a real good player at UW. And then in my time here, playing at USC, playing against guys like Juju Smith and Dory Jackson, Pac-12, it's just athletic, fast, physical football.
Yeah, of course. That is for sure. And then, you got the opportunity to compete at the NFL Combine this year. What was that experience like? I mean, just talking to guys who've gone, it definitely sounds like a really special experience, but just kind of for you, what was it like?
It was really cool. There were, especially at the suites that they had for us, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas kind of just put on a big show for us and gave us some cool gear. So that aspect was nice. But it was also a little stressful. Just meeting with all the coaches, doing interviews, and then you have all the medical evaluations, waking up at 4 a.m. to take drug tests. It's basically from most days from 6 to 12, nonstop, full go.
Yeah, was there a favorite drill at the Combine that, kind of stuck out to you, something that really showcased your ability?
Yeah, I think all the drills, I wouldn't say want to show how athletic I am, how fluid I am, how basically smooth I can open my hips. But I guess the back pedal, breaking at a 9-degree angle and then back pedal, and just showing coaches that you can be exact with your footwork.
Yeah, and you competed at the Combine, but how was your pro day as well?
Pro day was good. I redid my 3-cone and store shuttle and improved on both those numbers. I benched. I hurt my pec training for bench, so I took some time off and then benched at my pro day. And then position drills went really well. It was Joey and I, and then we got worked out by the Patriots and the Raiders coach. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. It sounds like you had a good time, but it was a productive time. Not always. Obviously the game's fun for you, but it's also work, and you can definitely tell you're working hard. With that being said, you're a man of many strengths. Obviously anyone can tell watching the film. But what is one strength that, you would say is your biggest?
I would say just range. I think it's the ability to be all over the field. Basically just a guy who can run sideline to sideline, who can make tackles, and can be productive.
Yeah, and as the draft approaches, is there any one thing that you're looking to improve on, or any goals that you set for yourself?
Yeah, just kind of training myself to play a little more downhill. I guess a little more reckless abandonment, but just coming in, trying to make some plays, some timeless losses. Just probably integrate that in my game a little more.
Yeah, and Bobby, what's one thing that you bring to the table that no other player at your position brings in this draft?
I would say the obvious thing, length. I got really long arms, but I use them well. At the point of attack, I'm physical. I think my understanding of the defensive playbook will be a big plus compared to other linebackers in the draft. And I think they're also going to get a big-time leader out of me.
Yeah, definitely. And this is, if you – and I ask this because, I'm just curious. Is there any one player or maybe a couple players that you've tried to model your game after, or any one that you've looked up to and respected certain things that they did and tried to emulate that in your own game?
Yeah. Got to give a shout out to, I guess, your Notre Dame folks. Jalen Smith, I remember when we played him, I think 3 years ago. He's a specimen in the way he plays, his length, his speed, his size. So that was a player I kind of tried to model my game after in college. And then I think just any of the fast physical linebackers, Telvin Smith, Miles Jack, Deion Jones, just guys that kind of fly around and are productive.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, that kind of new age linebacker, because back in the day it was, who's the thumper, and now it's kind of like they want you to be able to go sideline to sideline, which you obviously have no trouble doing. But I want to ask you, kind of looking for more of, a fun question here. In the NFL, and you'll be there relatively soon, who do you most want to sack?
Who do I? Maybe Andrew Luck.
Oh, wow.
I remember seeing the videos of him complimenting people and being like, nice hit and all that. So it'd probably be pretty funny if I came around and sacked Andrew and we had a little funny joke about it or something.
I love that answer because 99% of the time, the answer is Tom Brady. like Jake and I always talk about it. And not that there's anything the Tom Brady answer because, he's probably the GOAT. So, of course, people want to sack him. But it is fun to, get other answers just because all the time we hear Tom Brady. But Andrew Luck would be, I can see why, you'd want to get your fellow Stanford Cardinal for sure.
For sure. We're all hyper competitive, so it'd be fun.
Of course. And, we ask every guy who comes on our show, since we are a Los Angeles Rams-based podcast, have you met or talked with the Los Angeles Rams?
Yeah, a good bit. At the train station at Combine, sat down with the linebacker coach, and then also at a Senior Bowl, met with some scouts there. So talked to them probably a good bit throughout this process.
That's awesome. Jake and I love to hear that because obviously, we're fans of you and would love to see you end up a Ram. But no matter where you end up, we're going to be fans and we're going to be following your career. That's for sure. But just to kind of, wrap this up in your own words, who is Bobby Okereke as a player and who is he as a person?
Bobby Okereke as a player is fast, physical, aggressive, and dominant. And then Bobby Okereke as a person, he's a son. He's a brother to 3 sisters. He's an Eagle Scout, current co-term master's student at Stanford. Just a hard worker.
Hey, we love it, man. We really appreciate you coming on, and we'd love to have you in Horns. But if you don't end up in Horns, we're going to be fans of you no matter where you go. So it's been a pleasure. Stay healthy, and let's stay in touch.
Definitely. No, I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
All right, guys, we have Kendall Joseph, Clemson linebacker, coming on the podcast. How's it going, man? Thanks for coming on.
It's going great. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, thanks so much, as Jake said, for coming on. And just to kind of start this thing off, we're just curious and want to ask kind of how old were you when you started playing football and how did you get into the sport?
I started playing a game of football when I was 10 years old, and I just got into it. I started off playing soccer. I was a big soccer guy, and I got too big for it, and so I just transitioned to football, and I loved it and just never looked back.
Yeah, and growing up, who was your favorite NFL player?
Definitely Ray Lewis. I was a big Ray Lewis fan, just playing linebacker, and, he was always the model for, guys my age coming up.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a talented player and definitely a good one to model your game after and kind of look up to as well.
Sure.
And then when it came time for you to play in college, you ended up obviously playing at Clemson. But what was the main factor for you in choosing to play at Clemson?
Well, I'd say the biggest factor was just the coaches, meeting the coaches and being around those guys. You got to see what kind of men they were and, how they were going to impact your life and just in ways more than football. So that was the biggest thing. And also, I grew up only about 45 minutes away from Clemson. So just being so close to home, having that advantage of my family being able to come to the games, it just led me to choose Clemson.
Yeah, absolutely. And, how would you describe your, Clemson career in a nutshell?
Rings, man. That's the best way to describe it. Just great experience, being able to win a lot of games and do a lot of things and do it the right way. Great experience at Clemson, and, I couldn't ask for a better career.
Yeah, of course. And I'm just curious, what was it like to play for Dabo Swinney?
It was awesome. What you see is what you get. People like to think that, how he sings on TV, that can't really be how he is all the time. And it really is who he is. He's just a great guy, very, energetic, and just has that energy that just clings onto the whole team. And, the biggest thing about Coach Swinney is he's really focused on how can he make his players better in aspects other than football. And I think that's what you see, and I think that's why we've been so successful is because, we have a wholesome approach as far as, just not focusing on football. This is about academics and being a great citizen as well. And all those things into one, it just turns, all young kids into great men.
Yeah, and what would you say is your favorite memory? I mean, I know it's going to be hard for you because, again, rings were a big key, in college for you. But what was your favorite memory playing at Clemson?
My favorite memory, football-wise, I would probably say it was 2016, and we were playing Auburn at their stadium, and it was my first start as a sophomore, and be able to go out there and actually win ACC Linebacker of the Week off that game, and that being my first start, it was just a big confidence booster, and it kind of just set the tone for my career. So that was just a great memory for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you played against a lot of tough competition during your time at Clemson. But is there one guy or maybe a couple guys that stand out to you as being the toughest player that you faced while in college?
Definitely Lamar Jackson. Just a different type of player, once in a generation. And the stress that he put on you. I played him twice in my career, and each time we played him, the stress that you have, game planning for him and things you have to do to change the way you approach him is just so different from any other player. And then, he was just a great player, and he really challenged us defensively.
Yeah, and we'll obviously we'll stick it with you, and like going back to Clemson. I mean, what was it like playing with guys like Christian Wilkins and Dexter Lawrence and Mark Fields? And I mean, you have like names, just it's a long laundry list worth of names. So what was it like playing on such a star-studded defense?
It was awesome, and the reason it was awesome was because those guys that you named, especially Christian Wilkins, Cleveland Farrell, Austin Bryant, those guys are, big-time names, but they're the hardest workers on the team. And so you have guys that's that talented, and they come to work every day. It just helps you, elevate your game. It brings the best out of you, and those will be my brothers for life. They really impacted my life in a great way.
Yeah, and I kind of want to touch on something that you had the opportunity to do is you had the opportunity to compete at the NFL Combine. I mean, what was that experience like?
It was awesome. Just growing up, as a kid, that's everybody's dream to be able to, get an invitation to the Combine. So just getting the invitation was just a blessing for me. And being able to go down there and compete and just get in front of the coaches and communicate with them as well. Overall, it was a great experience. It's definitely a tough experience and a lot of things behind the scenes that, people don't see. And but overall, I loved it.
Yeah, and then, of course, your pro day. How was that for you?
It went pretty well. My numbers as far as the 40 and vertical jump didn't turn out exactly how I wanted to, but overall being able to show the coaches what I can do and showing them I can, move well as far as linebacker drills and all those kind of things. It was just a great experience, and just being able to compete one time with your brothers again, it's kind of the last time all of us on the field at once. So overall, it was a great experience, and I was thankful for it.
That's awesome. And I just want to know, in your opinion, what do you think is your biggest strength as a player?
I'd say my biggest strength as a linebacker is just my intellectual abilities, being able to, understand what the offense is trying to do and process what they're doing and play fast. It's one thing to be a fast guy in the 40, but I feel like I can transfer, just playing fast on the field and being able to, utilize my skills mentally. So I would say that's my biggest strength.
Yeah, and Kendall, what's one area where you're looking to improve in heading towards the NFL?
Yeah, I'd say just being more violent with my hands. When those linemen get on you, as a linebacker, you can't be a great one unless you're, consistently getting off blocks. And for me, going to the next level, I know that'll be a big focus of mine, and just being able to get off blocks and move well through the trash.
Yeah, and what do you think, again, it's kind of, opinionated question, but what do you think that you bring to the table that no one else at the linebacker position brings in this draft?
Right. I just feel extremely confident in my ability to understand defenses and understand offenses and just communicate on the field. I feel like my leadership is great, and my consistency as far as just being somebody that takes practice seriously and takes the game seriously and the workouts, all the small stuff it takes to be great. I think that's kind of what I bring to the table, just being a consistent leader.
Yeah, of course, and I think that's a great answer for sure. Who, if anyone, have you modeled your game after?
I couldn't pick one person per se. I know a guy named John Beeson. He played for the Panthers for a while, and just size-wise, he was similar to my size, and I love the way he played the game, extremely fast and physical. And so anybody, I would say John Beeson, but, I kind of just try to take pieces from each person's game that I admire and try to apply it to my game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we kind of like to ask this question to defensive guys who come on the show just because we're curious of everyone's answer. But who would you most like to sack in the NFL?
Who would I most like to sack? And I would love to get one on Deshaun Watson, playing with him for 3 years. And, we came in the same year to Clemson. That would just be something cool to brag to him about and just mess with him. So that would be fun.
I love that. That's a good answer. I have to ask you, because you brought up Deshaun Watson, and obviously you had the privilege of playing with him and also Trevor Lawrence. I got to ask you, how good can this kid be, Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, man, he can be the best quarterback to ever play the game. And I wouldn't say that unless I meant it. I know that's a serious statement, but from what I've seen from him in 1 year, just somebody that's mature beyond his age and his ability, man, like you've seen, is unthinkable. And I feel like his potential was so far. And man, if he just stays down the right track, keeps his head on straight, I'm telling you, I think he'll change the game.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly agree with you. I mean, the kid is incredible, and I can't wait to see what he does in years to come. As you mentioned, just in 1 year, he's been on fire. But we are a Los Angeles Rams podcast, so we ask every guy who comes on the show, have you talked or met with the Los Angeles Rams?
Yes, I did at the Combine. It was an informal meeting, but I got to sit down with the linebackers coach, and I had a really good meeting with him, and him just kind of picking my brain and seeing how I understand defenses and stuff. I'd say it was a really good meeting with the Rams.
That's awesome. We certainly like to hear that because Jake and I are big fans of you, and we would love to, see you end up a Los Angeles Ram, but we'll be fans of you no matter where you go, just because we think you're a great guy and we think you're an awesome player. So, Ram or not, hopefully Ram, but we'll follow you. That's for sure. But just to kind of wrap it up in your own words, who is Kendall Joseph as a player and who is he as a person?
I say Kendall Joseph as a player is just a guy that's somebody that takes the game extremely serious, and I'm just a consistent player. I'd say that's the best thing to call me. Just somebody that's consistent, on film and in practice and in the weight room and in meetings. I just kind of bring that consistent focus each day. And as a man, I'm just a grateful, humble guy. Grateful to be in this position and. Just excited about what's next and just always looking to get better as a man and, progress in more ways than just football. So I'm excited about my future, and I'm excited to see what happens next.
Hey, Kendall, we really appreciate you coming on, man. We know how busy you are, and, it means a lot. Stay healthy, good luck, and, of course, let's stay in touch.
Oh, yeah, thank you, guys. God bless y'all.
You too, Kendall. Thanks.
All right, take care. Bye.